Hi, welcome to this calming practice. It's called Only Warm, and it's a line from a poem by Gregg. I will share that poem with you at the end of our practice today. So the idea is to use some foundational strength training practices to keep us only warm, not hot in our physical practice today. So it's breathing practices, as well as things like plank and chair pose for short amounts of time, just to kind of keep us warm in the midst of our release practice. So it's basically a mixture of heat and diffusion in our practice today. So for today, please have a block and a strap at the ready. And so we're going to begin with some breath work. So find a comfortable seat and in and out through the nose if you'd like. Take an inhale and then exhale. And then see if you can exhale more and draw your navel in. And that's a little bit of the stoking of the flames already. So as you inhale, you feel the air inflate, and exhale. You can activate your exhale and draw your navel in to create a little bit of heat. So try this at your own pace and your own intensity a few times. And my hope is that you notice that the heat building in the abdomen will eventually be able to diffuse that work. So try that once or twice more. Activating your exhale, drawing your abdominal muscles in tight to help get blood moving around, the lymph moving around. Okay, great. And then from here, we're going to go immediately into a forearm plank. So you're going to lie face down, forearms on the floor. And option number one is your knees are on the ground and you lift your hips. You're going to draw your bottom ribs up a little bit, and that also activates your abdomen more. This is option number one. Option number two, you can curl your toes under and make this a full plank from forearms to toes. Once again, the tendency is for the hips to want to lift. As you press your hips down, lift your bottom ribs instead. And so there's two more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Exhale, and if you would like to activate the exhale, you can. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Okay, great. And then release, and let's lie face up. So that was some heat building, and now we're going to diffuse that heat through the body, starting with the feet flat on the floor, knees are bent, feet go about mat's distance, and arms in goalpost position. So as you inhale, you're going to drop a knee inward, arch your lumbar spine, and reach your arm beyond your head. So that's a big side stretch for your first side. As you exhale, come back to the center and relax. And repeat that on the other side. Knee drops in, reach your arm back, and arch your lumbar spine. And as you exhale, come back to center. And go back and forth like this, intuitive breathing. And that heat that we built at the top of our practice already, allow that to infuse into your hips, into your arms. Go back and forth like this another few times. Okay. And once you're done with your second side, you can exhale, come back to center, pause there. You can step your feet together, hands behind your head. And next is double butterfly practice. As you inhale, elbows and knees out to the side and down. Arch your spine, and you can even look behind you. And then as you exhale, squeeze your knees together, squeeze your elbows together, and you're going to lift your head and shoulders like it's an old-fashioned crunch. So a slow version of this. Take a deep breath in, arch your back. As you exhale, squeeze your elbows together and lift. Go back and forth like this. And this one, I'll say it's sort of a hybrid because the exhale, the lifting is some heat building as well, right? Abdominal work can be very powerfully heating practice. But then the inhale, you really widen and open it up. And it's almost like the heat kind of diffuses into the rest of the body. So you go back and forth like this another few times. This is also very lymphatic, which also tends to help warm the body. So basically fluid motion can help keep the body warm. All right, and one last time here. Take a deep breath in. Take a big exhale. Okay, great. And you can relax on your back, arms and goalpost again. And with your arms, with your feet flat on the floor, knees bent, you're gonna step left thigh on top of right. And every exhale, you're gonna relax back to this position. As you inhale, drop your knees to the left, reach your right arm back, and arch your spine again. So this is a lateral stretch with now an added twist. So that's your in-breath. Exhale as you come back to center, and repeat this side a few times. So you deep breath in, wringing out and diffusing the energy, the heat from abdomen throughout the body. Breathe down the side you're stretching. Okay, great. As you come back to center, unlace your legs and then relace right thigh on top of left. Every exhale, you're going to relax to this spot. And as you inhale, drop your knees to the right, reach your left arm back, and arch your lumbar spine. Exhale, come back to center, and you repeat this, same side, several times. Knees to the side, arch your back. Exhale, you return to center. Repeat this another few times. And then we're adding twist to some side work. Breathe into the side you're stretching. Notice the side you're breathing into. All right, great. And one last time here, take a deep inhale. And as you exhale from there, come back to center. Great, and then you place your feet on the floor, and we're going to lift into bridge pose. So it's going to be a pose. You drive your feet down, you engage your glutes and lift your hips up. You can keep your hands where they are as option number one. You can also hold the sides of the mat as it's almost like you're trying to pull at the sides of the mat and try to rock your arms underneath. If you're more flexible in your arms, you can interlace your fingers as well. So this is a big expansion on the front body. It's an engagement on the back body. So now we're engaging glutes, hamstrings, low back, shoulder blades, and this could be its own form of warming. So it's a heat building practice here. Breathe into your abdomen and chest another 2 or 3 times. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. Deep breath in. Okay, great. So on your next exhale, you're going to take your arms out of the way, lower your hips to the floor. All right, deep inhale on the ground. Exhale, and then exhale more. Draw your navel in strongly. You can pin your low back into the floor. And do that breathing practice one more time. Take a deep breath in. It could be a passive exhale to start, and then activate the exhale. Draw your navel in and press your low back into the floor. Okay, and we'll take that technique into hands and knees. So with cat-cow, the cow portion of this, the inhale is the squeezing of the back body, not unlike what we did with bridge. And then as you exhale, you can activate your exhale, draw your navel up toward the ceiling, and spread your shoulder blades. And you can go back and forth like this several times. So inhale, it's like the heat that we can generate from bridge. Exhale, it's like the heat we can generate from the breath work and from that, from the sort of crunch muscles, the abdominal muscles. Go back and forth like this another few times. Very good. And as you return to a neutral spot, from here you can, either with toes curled under or toes point back, I'll demonstrate with toes point back, you can relax, not relax back, but sort of like move back in towards child's pose. And that's one end of our range here. And then as you inhale, you can come forward and either pause here in a low cobra, or you can even heighten the cobra a little bit, depending on your ability in your low back. So now I see this one, this might be heat building for some people, but I really see this as the opportunity to diffuse the heat that we built in cat-cow. Diffuse it through the legs, diffuse it through your arms, and we're doing that both through the motion and through your inhales and exhales. So, of course, if you're stuffed, you breathe in and out through the mouth. If you're able to, in and out through the nose. And I usually inhale into cobra, and then exhale toward child's pose. And try this another few times. Okay. Great. And you come back to hands and knees. Let's come around to seated. And we're going to take a cross-legged forward fold here. So this gets a chance, we can soften down while still feeling that sense of warmth. So one leg in front of the other. If you'd like, you can slide your sitting bones back a little further. That will facilitate the tilt. And your hands can come down to the floor. You can pause here. If you'd like to reach your arms further forward, go ahead. And you can breathe into your low back. So there's a few breaths here. And allow the warmth, the prana that we've generated, to diffuse through your limbs. And then from there, you can come back up, and lean back a little bit to switch the legs. And then again, as an option, you can slide your sitting bones back. It's going to give you an anterior hip tilt. And then you can reach your arms forward. Forearms on the ground if that's in your practice. And you relax down and allow the heat that we've built to diffuse through your body. Okay, great. And then you come up from there, forearm plank again. So a little bit of heat, not too much. You can keep your knees on the floor, or your knees are off the floor. Hips press down, bottom ribs lift, and just 3 breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, and perhaps activate the exhale a little. Twice more, breathe in. Take a big exhale. Yeah, one last time. Breath in. Okay, great. And you can take your knees down. And from hands and knees, curl your toes under and lift back into downward facing dog. All right, so feet can be closer together or wider apart. Just make the downward facing dog feel like a time where you can really let the forearm plank heat diffuse through your body. Of course, this is a big stretch for some people. If you lift your sitting bones up, press your heels back, stretch out the tissues. So as we loosen up our legs, we invite heat to diffuse through them. And there's 3 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, deep breath in, big exhale. And one last time, breath in. Okay, great. You can bend your knees, and we're going to come up to standing. Okay, so we've done a couple foundational exercises as strength building. I also see this as heat building. So we've done forearm plank, we've done bridge pose. Horse stance is another one that's rather foundational, and these are such big muscles that when they warm up, we feel like we warm up. So horse stance, you have your toes point comfortably out to the side, make sure your knees are fine, and you don't have to go terribly low in order for your quads to start working. So, and hands can be on hips, or you can relax your hands out in front. If you practice Tai Chi, this will feel very, very familiar. But yeah, there's just 2 or 3 more breaths here, and you notice that as you just bend the knees and stand, things start to warm up. So, one more breath here, because again, we don't want to get too hot, only warm. Take a deep breath in, big exhale, Okay, great. And then come up to standing. And you're going to slide the heels out wider. Let's take a wide-legged forward fold. And this is going to be one where it's more yin. It's going to be more relaxed, where we let the weight of our torso influence the stretch. So of course there is going to be some work in the legs, and we're standing, right? So we have to keep balance. But you don't have to over-activate the legs. Just find terra firma in your feet, and you can let your spine round and relax. And it's like you're hanging off the back of your legs, the back of your hips, and your lumbar spine. If that's too intense, you press your hands into the floor, lift your lungs up a little bit, and that decreases the amount of flexion your spine's performing. Okay? But if it's available, you use the weight of your body to diffuse the stretch through the legs and to diffuse the warmth through your system. So there's another 30 seconds here. Allow the pose to work on you. Notice any differences between legs, between the two sides of your low back. And you can breathe in a way that's intuitive for you. Of course, that's always the case, but allow the breath to be helpful. Okay, great. So from here, hands on the floor, and you can bend your knees a little bit if you need to get your spine kind of straight. It's almost like we're in a, like the spine is horizontal with the floor. And then from there, you're gonna roll your belly, and I'm gonna mirror you. Roll your belly to the right, fold down your right leg, and pause here for a few breaths. So hands can be on thigh, on shin, around your ankle. Pause here and let the diffusion continue. Two or three breaths here. Okay, and then you come back to center, you lengthen, so the spine's nice and long, and you roll your torso to the left, fold down your left leg. So it's a side bend here. It's more dynamic for the spine. Let the diffusion continue. Great. And then you come back to center. Again, you can bend your knees a little bit, heel toe yourself in. We're going to come up to standing. So you drive your feet down, and you reach your arms up overhead. Take a huge inhale. Interlace your fingers, and exhale. Press your palms up toward the ceiling as you bend your knees into horse stance again. All right. The arms are up primarily for those who tend to get lightheaded. They come up in a forward fold after a time. So if you have low blood pressure, this is a technique for you. Palms press up. Activate your feet through the floor. Feel your quads engage. 2 more times. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And one last time. Okay, great. And then extend your legs. Release your hands. And you can find your block. We're going to take pyramid pose. Once again, this is a stretch for the back of the legs. Right foot forward, left foot back. You're going to turn your hips toward your right toes and bend over it. So I'm using a block underneath my left hand. So hand to block to floor. Right hand can be on hip. And the idea is to stretch out the front leg, the hamstring. You can also round your spine here. All right. So find whatever stretch you'd like to get on your front side, and you can allow the spine to relax as well. So the hand's there for balance. Some yogis might be able to take both hands on the floor, and that's fine. But if it's just your left hand on the floor, right hand on hip, my hope is that feels like comfortable enough to really dwell in for the next 30 seconds or so. We're here for a minute aside. Your front leg does not have to be straight. If it is, that's fine, but if it's bent, as long as you can get that diffusion, that sort of stretch in the back of the leg, once we open up the tissues on the back of the leg, it allows for more blood flow, which allows for more heat. And twice more. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And one last time. Okay, and you can bend your front knee. Bring the block up with you as you come up to standing. Come up to the top of your mat. And let's switch sides. So your left foot's forward. Blocks in right hand. You can turn your hips toward your front toes. And then pubic bone back, heart forward. Hand to block to floor. So your right hand can support your posture. All right, and then once you've sort of touched on, made some sort of first contact with your left leg in this way, you can stay here. If you'd like to, you can round your spine. Okay. If you need the block at whatever level works best for you, go ahead and take it. And the right hand's on the block. Some of you may be able to take both hands to the floor. That will allow you a little wider base of support for balance. But in general, if the right hand's on the block, if that allows you to like relax your upper back a little more and let the stretch diffuse through your system, let the heat that you've cultivated diffuse through your system, that's all good. Your front leg does not have to be straight. You could straighten it, you could bend it. Another 30 seconds here, letting the pose work on you. Okay, very good. So you can bend your knee, you move the block out to the side. As you inhale, or pick it up with you, come all the way up to standing. All right, and once you're here, now with the feet closer together, you can sit down in chair. Okay? Hands can be on hips. You can still take the Tai Chi, or if you'd like to, reach your arms up overhead. And just 3 breaths here, because we don't get too hot, only warm. So take a deep breath in, big exhale. Breath in, exhale, and one last time. Hands onto hips, press your hips forward. All right, great. And from there, please come down to hands and knees. And your right foot's gonna come forward. So right foot is in front. This is a relaxed, it's a relaxed lunge, and that lunge could look something like this. Okay? And you see how my back knee is on the ground. If you need some support for that, maybe a pillow or a blanket might help. You can even roll up the mat if you're short on a blanket or anything. But just make sure your back knee is relaxed on the ground, and you're going to relax your hips down towards your front foot. You can see I can move because my right foot's forward. My right hand's on the thigh. Left hand to block the floor. It's basically anywhere that allows me to relax down. So this is a yin lunge. You could stay here if this feels like enough work for your legs. If you'd like to twist, you can roll your navel towards your front thigh. Okay, now that means that you're using your arm a little bit. So now we're wringing out. You can also press into your thigh to help wring out the spine. And this might wind up feeling like a closed twist, which means your thigh is close to abdomen. So when you take a breath into your belly, you're actually adding pressure to your thigh too. That means it's almost like you're giving yourself an abdominal massage. So 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale, and one last time, take a deep breath in. Okay, great. And then you de-rotate, shift your hips back, and we can come to the other side. So you can move the block over to the other side. Left foot steps forward. And if your back knee needs some support, go ahead and use that. Okay. And then from there, you can relax your hips toward front foot. And my right hand is to block to the floor. My left hand can be on the thigh. Okay, So this is getting some hips are going in opposite directions. We're relaxing into that. If this feels like enough for your legs, you can stay here. If it's available, you can use both hands to twist your navel to the left. Okay, and because the thigh is close, when you roll your navel past your thigh, navel might touch thigh. That's a closed twist. You breathe into it. It's almost like you're breathing into your thigh. And another couple breaths here. Okay, great. And then from there you come out of that, shift your hips back. And from hands and knees, we'll come out of that. Arch your back as you inhale, look up toward the ceiling. This is cat-cow. As you exhale, round your spine. Draw your navel in and up. Exhale more if you'd like. Let's do this twice more. Inhale into cow. You look up. Exhale, you draw your navel up. Take a deep breath in. You look up toward the ceiling. Exhale, you can look at abdomen. Draw it up. Okay, and then neutral spine. And we'll take one more forearm plank. Forearms on the floor. You can step your knees back as you push your hips down. Bottom ribs lift. Or if you'd like to, curl your toes under. Press your hips down. Lift your bottom ribs up though. And just 3 breaths here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Breath in. Big exhale. And one last time. Breath in. Okay, great. And then knees down. And we're going to come around to seated. All right. With our legs out in front. All right. So very nice. The left leg stays forward. We're going to take our right foot to the floor. And just like in our lunge, this is going to be a closed twist. Marichiasana C. As you arch your back, take a deep breath in, arch your back, and then exhale, twist your navel past your thigh. Okay. If you'd like to as well, the back hand, you can roll your navel past the thigh. Like literally take the skin past your quadricep. And your right hand, your back hand can press into the floor. You can also press into a block. And your front hand on thigh or your forearm wraps around. You're using your arms to twist. And then take several deep introspective breaths. So after the heat building of the last cat-cow and the last plank, we once again try to move that heat through the body by breathing, which helps move our fluid system, our blood, and our lymph. There's 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale and exhale. And deep breath in and exhale. Okay, and you come back out of that, extend your right leg forward, and please draw your left knee in so the foot's on the floor. I'm going to turn around for demonstration purposes. You don't have to. You lengthen out your navel. Exhale, you twist past your front thigh. Okay. Arm wraps around knee. Hand either pressing into the floor. If you want to use a block, sometimes I use a block to help further the twist. Also, you can use your back hand, roll your navel past your thigh. That generally gives you a deeper stretch in the low back. And then breathe here. And so notice the heat we've cultivated. My hope is that this doesn't feel like a sort of cardio practice or like an excessively sweat-inducing practice. There's just a lot of good heat being both cultivated and diffused. And what that means in these sort of diffusion practices is that you don't have to do a lot, just do enough. All right, great. And then you come back to center, both legs extended. Right leg stays extended forward, left foot comes into inner thigh. We're taking Janu Shirshasana. You're going to lengthen up your navel, roll your belly to the right, fold down your right leg. Okay, and then, so there's a stretch down the back of the leg, might also be in the lumbar spine. Get a comfortable stretch. No need to pull yourself in this. And think rather than trying to strive and go further, this is really just knowing what's sufficient for you right now. In terms of diffusing the heat, becoming introspective, doing your daily practice or weekly practice. And that is enough. Another 30 seconds here. All right. And as you inhale, make your way out of Janu Shirshasana on the right. Please take your left leg forward, right foot into inner thigh. All right, and you can arch your back a little bit for length, roll navel for twist, and fold down your left leg. And once again, there are maybe times, there are maybe practices where it's like worth it to really challenge the stretch. On this one, figure out what is sufficient and that allows for the heat to diffuse in the body. If you wind up looking a little bit different on this side because this side's looser or tighter, that's fine. See if you can tap into experience. Another few breaths here. Okay, great. And then make your way back up. Extend your right leg forward. Pause there. Notice the diffusion. And we're going to continue with this sort of like more yin practice in pigeon. And that's, so you bend your right knee, you extend your left leg back behind you, and the idea is to fold somewhat over your front leg. Okay, this is kind of option number one. If it feels like your right hip doesn't get to the floor, you can always bring a blanket, a pillow, or in this case a block underneath, and you forward fold like that. Okay, if you don't need it, that's fine. And as you're folding forward, you can opt to keep your back leg bent and out to the side a little bit. To get a more significant stretch on your front hip, your back leg, you would straighten it out and internally rotate it. So figure out what's sufficient for you, what you can relax into, and allow the heat that we've cultivated to diffuse into the body. I'm relaxing my head on my hands. You don't have to. You can be on the forearms. You can be up on hands. Whatever helps you become introspective and allow for that diffusion. And there's another 30 seconds here. Okay, great. So on your next inhale, you can press back up, lean to the right. If you have any props, you can take them out of the way. Come back around, and let's try pigeon. On the other side, left Knee is bent, right leg goes out to the side, something like that. That's an option for pigeon. If your front hip needs to be supported on something as well, go ahead and take that. As you forward fold, options for your arms, also options for your back legs. So the leg can remain out to the side. More intense for the front hip, we'll be taking the back leg into internal rotation. Okay? And then however much you forward fold, make sure it's okay for all body parts and that there is no rigidity. You can allow the pose to do some work and let some heat diffuse into your system. Okay? And once you get settled, relax down. Another 30 seconds here. All right, great. And then from there, you can press yourself back up, lean onto your left side, come around, and we're going to take one more yin practice before we start to have a mixture of the heat building and diffusion again. So wide-legged forward fold. If your hands are behind you to stop yourself from falling back, that's option number one. You can lift your lungs. Option number two, if you slide your sitting bones back, and you can relax your hands forward, be my guest, and relax this way. Press your heels out a little bit. And then once again, let the pose work on you. We've been in yin poses for a while, so it may feel less like heat is being diffused and more like we're just cooling down. That's fine. We will add a little bit more heat after this. Breathe intuitively. Another 30 seconds here. Okay, great. So make your way back up. Gather the legs. Pause there. And at this point, we've probably doing enough diffusion and some of the yin work, some of the settling practice, that there's not a ton of heat left to diffuse. So we're going to be on the back. We'll be taking different leg stretches. And in the midst of those leg stretches, we're going to take an abdominal practice, which you lie on the back. And you can take your arms out to the sides, thighs up, shins parallel to the floor. So there's 90-degree angles, more or less, at the hips and the knees. Inhale, you're in the middle. And as you exhale, you take your knees to one side. It does not have to go to the floor. Just keep the opposite shoulder heavy so it winds up being a twist. And then you inhale, come back to center. And you try that on the other side. So knees toward the floor. Opposite shoulder remains anchored. Inhale back to center and go back and forth like this at the pace of your breathing. And if your focus is on the movement and the abdominal control, the control of the movement, focus on that. If it's within your realm to incorporate that exhale breathing practice where you activate the exhale and draw your navel in more tightly, you can include that as your knees go out to the side. So I usually inhale in the middle, exhale. You can draw your navel in for extra heat building. Inhale in the middle, exhale to the side. And go back and forth like this a couple more times per side. And once again, this is its own type of strength building. I'm much more concerned about allowing the heat to cultivate so we can diffuse it in our other practices. So maybe once more per side. Okay, great. And once you're done with your second side, you place your feet on the floor. Notice the new heat we have. Of course, usually abdominal stuff is rather fiery. And then we're going to take Supta Pada 1 on the right foot. You're going to take the strap around your right foot, right leg up in the air. So you drive the heel up. Left leg, you can extend it forward along the floor. Okay, great. And so there is a gentle activity in the legs. You press the heels out, you open your toes. Shoulders away from your ears. And you can use your breath intuitively to diffuse the energy of the Jatara Parivartanasana move. That's a long name for that, for the arms out to the side, the knees were going side to side. So allow the heat from that pose to diffuse into this pose. And there's another 30 seconds here. Okay, great. So one last inhale with your right leg up. And then as you exhale, you can release your right leg to the floor. And let's try this on the other side. Strap around your left foot. Your left heel presses up, right heel presses forward. All right. And different leg, you might need a different length of strap or something. The leg might be in a different place in the air. As long as you can let the pose do some of the work, let the stretch infuse, let the heat diffuse. Head can remain relaxed. Yeah, and use your breath to help with the infusion, with the diffusion. Another 30 seconds or so here. All right. Very nice. So then you can release your left foot to the floor, left leg down, strap by the side, arms out to either side, and let's work with Jatara Parivartanasana again. So your thighs are vertical, shins are horizontal, inhales in the middle, exhale, you take your knees to one side, making sure the opposite shoulder stays anchored and down. So your arms might work on this one a little bit. Go back and forth like this. And once again, you can concentrate on the movement. If you'd like to add the active exhale and the sort of like sort of optional like tightening of your abdomen at the bottom of your exhale, go ahead and do that. That does cultivate a little bit more heat. Okay, and we started off on one side. Cycle through until your knees dip into the second side. And then after that, you come back to center, release feet to floor. Notice the heat we've cultivated there, and we're now going to explore the second variation of Supta Pada Padangusthasana. Strap around your right foot. We're now going to take the right leg out to the side. And so I take a small strap around my foot. To make it easier for me, I take the strap underneath my shoulders, so I can hold it with both hands. That's if your strap is long enough. And your right heel is going to press to the right. Your left heel presses forward. Okay, so yeah, first we got the back of the leg. Now we're getting the back and the inside of your right leg. The left heel is pressing forward. Right heel is pressing to the right. If you need to add a block underneath your right leg somewhere, go ahead and do that. And then allow the pose to do some work. The stretch is infusing. And allow the heat to diffuse with your breath. Another 30 seconds here. Okay, very nice. And you can remove the strap from your right foot, right leg down. Notice the after effects of that practice. Okay, and then we're going to strap the left foot. So you can place the strap around the foot, and I usually take the strap underneath me so I can use my body weight to sustain the leg as well as both my arms. If your strap isn't that long, you can also just hold it with your left hand. All right, so Supta Pada 2 on the other side. Your left heel is pressing to the left. Your right heel is pressing forward. Great, so you're going to let these stretch, infuse, and let your heat diffuse. And you can enhance your awareness of that by breathing, noticing the breath. How does the breath influence the stretch? How does the breath influence the heat? And we'll be here for another 30 seconds. All right, very nice. So then you can remove the strap from your left leg, deposit the left leg on the ground. Okay, very nice. With the arms out to the sides, again, Jatara Parivartanasana. Inhale, you're in the middle. Exhale, knees to one side. Keep opposite shoulder heavy. And as an option, you can exhale, draw the navel in. That leaves a bigger inhale as you come back to center. Exhale. Yeah, and go back and forth like this at the pace of your breathing, and cultivate more heat. Head stays nice and relaxed. Arms may be working, of course the torso is working, the legs are working. All to build up a little more heat that we can diffuse. And so we start on one side. Once you're done with your second side, come back up to the middle. You can place your feet on the floor. All right, great. And then from here, the third version of Supta Padangusthasana You're going to shift your hips to the right of your mat. So it's like the hips are toward the right side of your mat. Right leg's going to go up in the air, left leg forward. And the third variation is a straight-legged twist. So the right leg's going to come over with the hip. I also take the strap underneath my hands like we did in the second version. And then the legs are active, gently active. This is a twisting version, so now the torso is not in like a neutral position. It's involved in the practice as well. And that twist often, just like in all of our closed twists that we did today, it often means that the breath itself can be a source of the heat generating. But allow the heat to diffuse as the stretch infuses. Pause here with legs gently active and the breath inquisitive. Another 30 seconds. All right, great. And you can remove the strap from your foot. Come back to center, hips in the middle, legs in the middle. Notice the after effects of that infusion and diffusion. And then from here, you can shift your hips over to the left, strap around left foot, and your left leg goes up, right leg extends forward on the mat. You take your leg and your hip over for a twist, straight-legged twist. And just like in the second version, I like taking the strap underneath. It makes it easier to hold your foot in place with the strap. Both legs extending, gentle work there. And of course, there's also work in your torso here. The twist is there. This might be a heart opener for some people in the left side. Okay, so gentle engagement in legs. The breath could be a source of heat building here because we are wringing out the tissues of your abdomen. Notice what you can notice. Breathe inquisitively. We'll be here another 30 seconds. All right, very nice. And then as you exhale, you release. Come back to center. Pause there. Notice the after effects of that twist, that particular pose. Okay, and then from there, you're going to take both legs up in the air. So this is a supported version of Supta Dandasana. So the strap is going to go around both feet. You can hold there, both heels press up toward the ceiling. And after a pose that includes a rather deep twist, this is a good midline reference. My legs are more or less straight up. You can be wherever you want. I like feeling neutral in the spine. And you press the heels up a bit, open your toes, take some big breath down. It's like you're breathing down the front side of your spine. Very nice. Take a deep inhale. And then you can let go of the strap, feet to the floor. And then, like we did toward the beginning of our practice, one more bit of heat building in bridge pose. You're lifting your hips by pressing your feet down. And you're lifting your heart by pressing your upper arms down. You can hold the sides of the mat if you'd like, or you can interlace your fingers underneath you. Yeah, and so there's one more engagement of the back body. Yeah, so back body's nice and strong. Front body's nice and open. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And one last time. Arms out of the way. Exhale, lower down. And you extend your legs out into Shavasana. If you need to put on clothing or extra layers, go ahead and do that. And once you get situated here, my hope is that the bridge pose energy, the heat, can diffuse up, just like the way ambient heat rises in a room. And that the weight of the body can relax down. So there's actually kind of energetic movement in both directions. The heat can diffuse up, and the relaxation can settle down. Okay, so you can continue to notice that sort of swirling of experience. The infusion of relaxation to relax toward the floor, and that diffusion of heat to warm from the bottom to the top. And you can continue noticing your inward experience. I'll share Linda Gregg's poem twice. I'll read it twice. I would like to decorate this silence, but my house grows only cleaner and more plain. The glass chimes I have hung over the register ring a little when the heat goes on. I waited too long to drink my tea. It was not hot, it was only warm. I would like to decorate this silence, but my house grows only cleaner and more plain. The glass chimes I have hung over the register ring a little when the heat goes on. I waited too long to drink my tea. It was not hot, it was only warm. So if your mind winds up wandering, acknowledge it, and you can allow your mind to saturate back into your sensations, your experience. You can repeat that as many times as you need to for the next couple minutes. Very good. So from here, guide your awareness to your breathing. Notice your breath and start taking some deeper inhales, deeper exhales. And then wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. You can open hands and make fists, open your toes, make fists with your feet. You find the perimeter. So we found the center, we found the breath, we found the perimeter. And then take whatever intuitive movements you need to connect your breath with your fingers and your breath with your toes. Like leg stretches, twists, kind of yawny, waking up movements. To make all those connections again. All right, and then from here, please draw your knees into your chest. Give them a good hug. Take a breath into your low back. And please roll over to one side. You pause on your side for a breath. And then with as little effort as possible, arrive back up to a comfortable seat. All right, great. And so notice the effects of the infusion process, what we have infused in the body, and also what we have diffused throughout the body. And my hope is that like just in the poem, everything feels a little bit cleaner, crisper in your system and more detailed. So thank you for practicing with me. Take care. Namaste.